Good morning. I'm Caitlin Coleman, your East Georgia State College SGA President, and on behalf of the student body, I'd like to welcome you to the State of the College Address. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Tia Morris and I'm the Library Assistant here at the EGSC Library. I also currently serve as the Staff Council President. On behalf of the staff, it is my honor to welcome you here today. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Tim Goodman. I'm the Vice President for Academic Affairs here at East Georgia State. It is my distinct pleasure to represent and deliver greetings from the faculty as we begin a new academic year. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce President Bob Bomer, who will deliver our State of the College Address. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Bomer.
Thank you, Caitlin, Tia, and Dr. Goodman. I really appreciate it. Students of East Georgia State College, faculty and staff, trustees of the East Georgia State College Foundation, local officials, and members of our college community. It's a true privilege to have this opportunity to spend some time with you this morning to share with you my thoughts about the current state of the college. As I prepared a few slides this weekend, Joyce and I discussed just how lucky we are to be a part of this very special community, this welcoming community, and to serve as stewards of the treasure that we all know as EGSC. Joyce and I also talked about 3 families who have visited our campus often over the about 4 years that we have been with you. The Carell family, the Morgan family, and the Gambrell family. As we talked, a common thread through all of those visits was the belief that the Carells, the Morgans, and the Gambrells demonstrated on each visit in the enormous potential of our amazing East Georgia State College students. The potential that those students have to improve their own lives and the lives of this region of the state. During each visit to our beautiful campus, Pete and Ada Lee, Jean and Jimmy, and Luck and David cared less about budgets and buildings, and they cared most about talking one-on-one with our students and learning about their plans to graduate and have fulfilling lives and careers. That is our mission, isn't it? To provide an affordable and a high-quality place of learning, giving our amazing EGSC students access to a college degree and a better life. As judged against that mission, I submit to you today that the state of the college is indeed very, very good. Now, as we talk about that conclusion that the state of the college is very good in a little more detail, let's first look at the students that we serve. Where do they come from? I am often asked the question, why is it important for East Georgia State College to have 3 locations, Swainsboro, Statesboro, and Augusta? As you can see clearly, it is because those 3 locations make an affordable college degree possible for students from very distinct parts of this region and of the state of Georgia. This chart showing the top 10 home counties for students in Swainsboro, Statesboro, and Augusta reflects very little overlap. Now, before we move on to talking more about how we serve those students, I think it is fitting and appropriate that we remember that we're sitting right now in the Luck Flanders Gambrell Auditorium. The very reason this college exists today is because of the vision of Luck Gambrell. Let's take a brief look at the beautiful memorial ceremony celebrating her life, which was held in this auditorium on August 8th.
It's wonderful to be here with you all in this place that my mother was so proud of and that we all are so proud of. And thank you to everyone who made this event happen. We know it wasn't easy and that you all probably moved the sun and the moon to make it so smooth and to make it so beautiful and lovely for our family.
So as we listen to the Gambrell family talk about the purpose for which this campus was created, please remember that Luck intended this to be the community's campus. And then the citizens of Emanuel County issued a bond to pay for the buildings that comprise this campus. So community members, please remember that this is your campus. Your presence on this campus today and every day enriches us, and you are always welcome on campus to participate in our many events and activities. Now, one that I wanted to mention right at the outset is you may notice the noticeable weight gain of many of the members of the East Georgia State College community, and that's because of the really excellent food that we have available on this campus. And I want to invite the community to come here and join us for lunch or join us for a cup of coffee at the common grounds, and please take advantage of that. I also want you to take advantage of events like this that take place on our That was the patriotic celebration that took place this summer that was open to all of the members of this community. This Sunday, we're going to have a really special presentation. This is the world-renowned University of Georgia Brass Quintet, and we hope that possibly after church on Sunday at 2 o'clock, you'll come and join us for that amazing concert. And trust me, these people are really talented. I also hope that you'll come and take advantage of these sort of resources on our campus. I know that many of you use the disc golf course. We've got a new 10-kilometer cross-country trail that is just an amazing place to walk or run. Our library and our Heritage Center right across the rotunda are always available to you, as is our ropes course. This very weekend, we hope that you'll come and join us early in the morning on Saturday for the Bobcat Dash with a Splash, and then spend the rest of the day with us, enjoy some free food and the Bobcat Regatta, and just have a great day with us this Saturday. Also, this coming spring, our community, not just the staff at East Georgia State College, but our community went to bat together and made a proposal to bring a Smithsonian exhibit to this campus, Sports in Small Town America. That proposal was not only successful, but we're going to be the initial site at which that exhibit is located, and we hope in March and April you'll come out here on more than one occasion and take advantage of this really don't miss opportunity. Now, I'd really be remiss at this point if I didn't say thanks to all of you for making this possible. And when I say this, I'm referring to what you see in these pictures. These are students realizing their potential and their dreams by graduating from East Georgia State College. I want to say a special thanks to the members of our foundation who are present with us today, including the president of our foundation, Mr. Denny Key. Will any members of the foundation that are here with us today please stand and let us show you our thanks. Let's give them a round of applause. I'd also like to say thanks to our local legislative delegation. All of you see things happening on campus right now that are the result of what these amazing people have done. The new residence hall that's waking all the students up early in the morning with the construction, that project is the result of the support of Senator Jack Hill, Representative Butch Parrish, Representative Jan Tankersley, and Senator Jesse Stone. The new academic building addition that is going to come out of the back of the current academic building later this year is also a result of their support. I'd also like to express my appreciation to the Board of Regents of the University System of Georgia. Had they not proposed and supported those projects to the legislature, they would not have taken place. And this is our local representative on the Board of Regents from Twin Cities, Statesboro, Regent Lori Durden. We also, in Swainsboro, Emmanuel County, we've got a special situation. We not only have a great high school system, but we've got a technical college and East Georgia State College providing a full range of educational opportunities in this community. I'm going to talk to you later today about a nursing program, a bachelor's program, that we hope to have approved to be located here at East Georgia State College. Now, the reason that that proposal has some legs, the reason it's realistic, is because newly appointed President Larry Calhoun and interim President Gail Ware have worked in partnership with us to make that proposal. I'd also like to say thanks to our local school system, the Emmanuel County Schools. I was yesterday over at the Fulford Center. There were students over there from the high schools being tutored by our amazing East Georgia State College students. Well, students getting to the Fulford Center from the schools is not just something that happens without cooperation. And that's one example of the way that Emmanuel County Schools always partner with us to maximize educational opportunities. Sorry. I also wanted to say thanks to our local officials. Something that I'm going to talk to you about more later today is the real need in our community for a community beautification project. Well, this is something where our local officials have been providing leadership for many years, and where they now need our support to make it happen. So thanks to Mayor Schwabe and our county commissioners and other local officials. Also, we're building at East Georgia State College what I call a culture of respect. This is an environment in which the contribution of every individual to our educational mission is valued, and I really deeply appreciate our faculty senate led by Walt Mason, our student government association led by Caitlin Coleman, and our staff council led by Tia Morris for helping me build that culture of respect at East Georgia State College. It's really unusual for a person to be in the university system of Georgia for 30 years. It's amazing when an individual is in the university system of Georgia for over 40 years. We are really lucky to have an individual, Dr. Goodman, leading our academic affairs with 40-plus years of experience in the university system of Georgia. Let's give him a big hand. Dr. Goodman, stand up. One of East Georgia State College's most amazing teachers, in addition to being a highly recognized and acclaimed scientist, Dr. Bob Brown, is going to be retiring at the end of this year, unless I can get a last-minute reprieve and talk him into staying. Dr. Brown has been widely recognized as one of the best teachers of science in the entire state of Georgia. Please join me in showing your appreciation to Dr. Brown. Please rise, Dr. Brown, for all of his contributions. Thank you, Bob. And although he cannot be with us today, I also want to recognize Dr. Glenn Strocker for his attainment of the status of Professor Emeritus of Geology. And our amazing faculty. All of these are faculty who were either promoted or tenured this spring. That's an amazing professional accomplishment, and they're to be congratulated. I also want you to know, and I'm not going to go through and name all of them, that in an era of almost no salary increases over a period of 7 years, many of our staff and senior staff have accepted new positions of responsibility in a new organizational structure that I proposed. These are largely people that are taking on those new responsibilities without additional compensation, and I appreciate it deeply. Now, let's get to the meat of the topic. That is, East Georgia State College is doing a lot with very limited resources. Second, we're doing it in an environment that is changing dramatically on a daily basis. Then we've got to talk about, well, so how are we doing? What have we actually accomplished this year, and where are we headed in the next year? Now, this is a big factor in East Georgia State College's day-to-day life, modest resources. If you look at our budget this year, and by this year I mean fiscal year 2016, we've got more students on campus, we've got more people that are doing more, and our budget was $43,000 less. Our state allocation was $43,000 less than the prior year. Take a look at this chart. These are all of the colleges that are similar to East Georgia State College in the university system of Georgia. Over here is their state funding, which is sort of roughly half of the total budget. That was the number of full-time equivalent students at each institution last year. And this number is the state appropriation per full-time equivalent student. We're doing a lot with modest resources. Let's look at the space. Again, these are the same institutions. This is the amount of gross square feet we have per full-time equivalent student. We're doing a lot with modest resources. Now, when I say we're doing a lot with modest resources, look at this chart, students, showing how much it costs to go to different types of institutions in the university system of Georgia. Now, here, if you look at this, you see that our tuition, residence hall fees, meals, cost a student typically about $5,600 a semester. Now look at that in comparison with a research university, a comprehensive university, a state university, another state college, and East Georgia. It's about half per semester in cost to attend East Georgia versus the top institution on that chart. We're doing a lot with very modest resources. Now, one of the things I want to say when I talk about this is that we're not preparing to change the cost to students of their education. We are committed strategically to, even though across the country a lot of institutions are shifting a lot of the cost of education to the students in the form of tuition increases. Out of all 30 institutions in the university system of Georgia, we are the most affordable, and we intend to stay that way even in this challenging environment. Now, things are looking up. These are revenue collections in the state of Georgia going back from fiscal year 2011 and going up through the end of the last fiscal year. Now, that's good news, because when revenue collections go up, the state legislature has more dollars available to allocate to major needs like higher education. Now, we all got to be careful when we start getting too optimistic, because there's a lot of things that are challenging for those precious state dollars. For example, roads, transportation, health care costs, prisons. So this is not to say that, whoa, the ship is coming in, but things are really looking up. Now, the Board of Regents at its last meeting made its proposal, you see that up there, board approval of its fiscal year 17 budget request. The Board of Regents looked at those numbers and they made a proposal to the university, to the state legislature for a $55 million budget increase for the university system of Georgia as a whole. That is really positive news. Now, we're not going to know till April of next year, when the legislature wraps up and the Board of Regents meets, how much we are going to share in any budget increase that's granted. But the possibility of having a conversation about that in this environment is really positive news. Now, another thing that is really positive is enrollment. For those of you who follow this sort of thing in the paper, you know that there are a number of University of System of Georgia institutions that are experiencing significant downward enrollment trends. Now, East Georgia in fall of 14 increased, and even though final numbers are not yet in, you can see that we have again increased in fall of this year. As we talk to the Board of Regents and the legislature about what share we should receive of any additional funding, that's a very powerful piece of news. The fact that more of our amazing students are choosing to stay here and study. Now, to give you some context, that chart, which shows the United States as a whole, is pretty similar to what we've experienced in the state of Georgia. If you look at 2011 there, enrollment peaked out and then it dropped for a couple of years and is projected to increase steadily but not as fast in the coming years. Now, it looks remarkably similar to the patterns in the state of Georgia as a whole, where again, you see the peak in 2011, a couple of years a drop, and then in 2014 a slight tick upward. What is really positive for East Georgia is that a lot of that enrollment growth in the state is taking place at the larger institutions, the University of Georgia's, the Kennesaw States, the Georgia State Universities, and many of the smaller institutions are still suffering in enrollment. We're really unique in that a lot of students are finding that they appreciate the focus on teaching and the campus environment, the family environment that exists at East Georgia State College. And so we're one of the smaller institutions that is rising with the overall rising trend, and that's a very positive factor. Now, I've said that the numbers are not in yet for fall. The final drop-add date is not here yet, but we project a 2 to 3% enrollment increase this fall. Now, let's talk about all of that and what environment that's taking place in. Now, first of all, many of you have heard about consolidations, mergers that are taking place in the state of Georgia. If you look down here right now, Georgia State was just merged with Georgia Perimeter. That one is not yet final, but that's going to result in an institution of about 50,000 students. All of these institutions have already completed mergers. Waycross and South Georgia combined into one. North Georgia and Gainesville State are now University of North Georgia. Georgia Health Sciences University and Augusta State are now Augusta University. Macon State and Middle Georgia are now Middle Georgia University. And Kennesaw State and Southern Poly is now potentially bigger than University of Georgia as Kennesaw State University. Now, the reason I raise this is that I know there's a lot of discomfort for students around the state, not just here, saying, is my institution going to be one that is the next one that is consolidated? I can't promise you, but I can tell you that I see no indications whatsoever that East Georgia State College is on the list under consideration for consolidation in the near future. And I think that's an extremely positive factor. Now, why is what this college does so important? You know, why are we any more or less important than any other college in the country? Well, it's because of our mission that I talked about at the very start of my comments. It's because college students is so much more important for you today than it was for me when I went to college in another century in 1968. It's because the college attainment rates in this country, the rate at which students are earning that degree is not high enough. And it's because those rates in this region of the state are particularly low. And it's because too many students are borrowing too much money. The result is that an institution like East Georgia that's focused on raising the expectations of students, doing an incredible job of teaching them, and then getting them an affordable college degree is really an incredibly important thing in this environment. Now let's talk about that in some more detail. Look at the gap between the earnings expected for a student with a high school degree and the earnings expected for a student with a college degree. You see two things when you look at that. It's a lot of money, that gap, and it's getting bigger every year. The premium on earning that degree is growing, and it's going to keep growing. All right, now also the cost to society of the people that are not making the responsible choice that all of these students are making is also getting higher. When people, your peers, choose not to attend college, what happens? Poverty rates increase, unemployment rates increase, and incarceration increases. Let's look at some of the numbers. Here's the relationship between poverty and educational attainment. I'll spare you all of the details today, but the reality is that those without college educations more commonly in the United States live in poverty. Let's look at the relationship between unemployment and college education. We've been going through some tough economic times. The reality is that students with only a high school degree are much, much more likely than students who are doing what you're doing and earning a college degree. It's much higher unemployment rate for those who have not earned a college degree. This one really shocks me. Students who go to college are much less likely to be incarcerated. Now, this one not only shocks me, but it really disturbs me. When you look at students who are attaining college degrees based on their socioeconomic status, and if you look at a group of high school seniors, sophomores, back in 2002, and then you look at that same group of students in 2010, and you say, how many of them got college degrees? Look at the rate of attainment of college degrees for those from lower socioeconomic status as compared to that higher rate for those from a higher socioeconomic status. Now, if anyone here, faculty or staff, wonders how important the work you do every day is, I think you see the answer to that question in some of these charts. Let's look at it another way. And let's say, what does it cost for every one of those young people who ends up being unemployed. Not what does it cost them, what does it cost society? Costs almost 10 grand a year just to pay the unemployment benefits. How about if one of those young people ends up being incarcerated? How much does it cost every year to institutionalize them? Well, Georgia's actually pretty low, and that's $31,000. On average, what does it cost in state dollars to educate a college student every year? $6,000. It seems like a fairly clear choice to me about where state dollars can be effectively invested. Now, does everybody need to go to college? Every one of those young people that Dr. Judy has in one of his classes? No. But the experts tell us we need 63% of young people to have college degrees in order to meet the economic needs of this country by about the time all of you are getting your college degrees. That's what we need. What do we have in the state of Georgia? 34% attainment rate. Now, let's take a look at our region, and I'm just going to arbitrarily call that area in red our region. We have students from outside that region, but that's where the bulk of our students come from. Now, I know that's a lot of numbers, but the need is particularly acute, isn't it, in the counties that are in our service area? Look at the state of Georgia. 28% have attained a bachelor's degree or higher. 18.2% are living below the poverty line, and the average income's about 50 grand. Now, Columbia County's an exception up there, but let's take Emmanuel County as an example. 11.6 have attained a bachelor's degree. Almost 30% are living below poverty, and the average income is about 32 grand. Again, if any of the students doubt the importance of working to attain your college degree, or if any faculty or staff for a moment doubt the importance of what you're doing, I submit that that's pretty convincing. Now, let's talk about the student loan debt. This is a new feature that I hate that's now available on the web. It's the student loan debt clock. I did this on Sunday afternoon, I think. The student loan debt in the United States right now is $1.3 trillion, and it's going up about 3 grand every second. Now, we don't have to argue, that's too much. Again, is it important to have a place like East Georgia State College where a student can get an affordable, high-quality start to their college education? Again, I think that's pretty clear evidence of the importance of what all of you are doing. Now, let's talk a little bit about the good stuff. Accomplishments this last year. One of the things that we already talked about, but I want to come back to it, that's a really big accomplishment, is that a lot of people that are sitting in this room have traveled all around this region of the state, going to high schools, going to service clubs, going to churches, community organizations, and they've been telling them the story that I'm telling you today. East Georgia State College is high quality, and it's really affordable, and it's a great community. And as a result, our recruiting activities are paying dividends in terms of our enrollment remaining stable and increasing. That's a big accomplishment. A lot more students are earning degrees. Look at 2007, 2008 to last year. That's a dramatic increase in the number of degrees. Look at this complicated number. This is the number of students who graduate plus those who successfully transfer to a four-year institution. I hope all of you will get an associate's degree and then transfer, because you're more likely to be successful if you do that. But many of you are going to transfer to another institution before that point in time. Add those two numbers together. Those are East Georgia's percentages. These are the percentages of similar institutions in the state of Georgia. That's not good enough, but it is an accomplishment to be doing substantially better than other institutions in the state. Many of you know about the Fulford Center. This year, the Fulford Center celebrated its 5th anniversary. Let's look at the Fulford Center here. If I can make this work, folks. Mike, we appear to be stuck. Okay, while Mike's working on that, let's take a little break here and switch to another topic. How many of the students here have met the newest dog on campus? Okay, now I want to take a poll here. How many of the students want the dog to stay, and how many want the dog to go? Stay? That's a clear win. Now, this is the part I'm really confused about. I've heard 3 names for the dog. The one I learned yesterday was AC, which I understand stands for assistant coach. The second one was Fido. And then the third I heard was Chico. What did you? Is there another one? Paco. Okay, so let's take a quick, while Mike's doing that, let's take a quick poll. AC, Chico, oh, popular. Fido, Paco. Oh, it's close, but the dog stays. All right. Mike can... All right, so now we're back to the Fulford Center, and this was when the Fulford Center opened in 2010. And this is the Fulford Center.
Remember,
5
my mother
years
said,
later.
give, help someone, pay your dues. Although my family of a single mother, a brother and sister, and me hardly had 2 dimes to rub together, this never seemed a strange request to me.
Now, another big success this year is Move On When Ready. A lot of you know that as dual enrollment. Due to our cooperation with the local school district, you'll see that the number of Move On When Ready students and the number of courses that they are taking has dramatically increased in the last year. Bobcat Villas was 200 beds, thanks to all of you being willing to put up with the construction noise in the morning. And I apologize again, it's locked up. That has gone to 416 beds. This is the groundbreaking for Bobcat Villas. All right, now you're looking there at the back of the academic building. That's where this new addition is going to come out, and that'll be available in 2017. And students, that's not offices, that's all classrooms and laboratory space. Look at our college's foundation. You saw Denny Key and Milton Gray stand up a little bit earlier. In 2010, the assets of the foundation were a little over $1 million. They are now at $2,100,000 and growing. Now, what does that mean as a practical matter? It means that in fiscal year 15, we were able to offer over $108,000 in scholarships, up from $46,000 the prior year. It also means that need-based aid, those small amounts of aid when you need to buy books or pay that last $200 of addition, need-based aid we were able to offer this fall was almost $45,000, and we've still got $22,000 left to give in spring. We've also got our first class of Corel Scholars on campus, and we're extremely proud of this group and look forward to having a second class of Corel Scholars here in fall of 2015. The college's foundation also acquired the Morgan House. Now, this is Jimmy Morgan, and I mentioned Gene and Jimmy Morgan earlier. It was Jimmy's vision many years ago that this house would actually become a point of connection between the college and the community, and it now is.
You know, every town has its special home, special houses. And I don't want to make anybody mad, we don't all live in a special house. This is a special house. Dr. Palmer and I have had many conversations about what we can do, how we can bring the community and the college closer together, because it's a win-win. It's such a great win for this city and this community. And for this wonderful family to make this wonderful gesture puts us out ahead in the race.
Divulging those childhood secrets, but still is, I guess. This was called Monticello Hill. That's how I grew up doing it, as Monticello Hill. Mountain of Health, if you look at the translation. Mountain of Health. And I think that speaks well of this building, this home.
hope you will all join us first Friday of every month. October's no exception, November's no exception, at 5:30 at the Morgan House on Fridays. It's always informal, and community, faculty, staff, and students are all invited. We've got our new Bachelor of Science in Biology program in Dr. Brown's school up and running. We've already had 7 graduates with bachelor's degrees in biology. This spring, we're going to start our second bachelor's program, which will be a bachelor's in Fire and Emergency Services Administration. We are extremely proud to have our choice students on campus. They visited the legislature this prior year and got an amazing reception from the legislature, and I cannot say how proud we are to have those students on campus and to be anticipating more of those choice students in the coming year. Our athletic program is just growing dramatically. We have got a full staff of coaches in place. Our athletic director, Coach Chuck Wimberly, and we've now got our head women's basketball coach, our head women's softball, our men's basketball, and our men's baseball coaches in place. And the facilities, if you've gone down and visited them recently, are really improving dramatically. So I hope you'll come out and enjoy some of those athletic contests with us.
I chose to come to East Georgia because I was given the chance to earn a scholarship and help pay for my school while doing something I love, which is playing baseball. At every school you'll find student athletes who put more of an emphasis on their athletics in their school, but I've actually found a roommate and various other players that are legitimate student athletes and have 4.0s and good grades, and they put more emphasis on school than baseball.
Our economic impact on this region is, I think you will agree, dramatic. The last year it was measured was fiscal year 2013, and it was almost $61 million. I anticipate when those numbers are released again early next year, that number will go up dramatically because of the construction that you see taking place on our campus and the jobs that that's creating. Now, let's talk about this year and what we're planning on this year. The first thing I want to say about this is that East Georgia State College is an access institution, and we're fiercely proud of that. That is what is our future. In other words, we do not intend to become a highly selective institution. We intend to become an open door. We tend to remain an open door for all students who are capable of attending college, and that's where our future and our success lies. Now, with having said that, the big things that we have to work on this year are the salary structure of this college needs to improve dramatically. Second, private fundraising needs to continue to grow. We're at over $2 million in assets. We need to be over $3 million by the end of this year. There needs to be a center for youth success in this community. And there are simply not enough things for young people to do in this community, and it affects the rate at which they attend college. We need to come up with, in partnership with the Emmanuel County Schools and others, we need to come up with a concrete plan to put that Youth Success Center in place. We need to have a Bachelor of Science in Nursing program that is an East Georgia State College degree in place on this campus. And working in partnership with Southeastern Tech, I think there's a high possibility of that happening. We need to complete the construction of the new Bobcat Villas, and the minute construction is complete, we need to start working on the third wing of the Bobcat Villas so that our residential capacity is up over 600. Students will tell you this already. They know this. When we get those additional students on campus, student activity space and space for intramural sports needs to be dramatically increased. There's a direct connection between student engagement and academic success. When you've got student activity space and people are engaged in student organizations and intramural sports and intercollegiate athletics, they do better academically. We need to get that new academic building out of the ground and ready for use in 2017, and we need to contribute to the livability of this community. Now, many of you may have seen this letter to the editor that I wrote in the Forest Blade. The leadership of Emmanuel County has been working for many years to remove some of the blight in this community. It's a beautiful community. If you came in here on an airplane and you'd never been to Swainsboro before, and you saw two college campuses, two beautiful parks, a huge parks and recreation department, lots of pristine forested land, you would go, wow, this is amazing infrastructure for a community of this size. If you came to downtown Swainsboro and saw the town square, you'd go, wow, I could live here. And then if you go past some of the blight on Highway 80, you could immediately change your impression. That has a very detrimental effect on our ability to bring students like this to our community. It has a very detrimental effect on our ability to bring business to this community, to serve our community. So we all need to get behind, in every way possible, we need to get behind our mayor and our community leaders in getting rid of that blight, and it doesn't need to take a long time. So what
No
is
school
the
is
state of the
perfect,
college?
but East Georgia is certainly the closest that I've seen so far.
Thank you for your kind attention to these lengthy remarks and to putting up with the technical difficulties. You guys are great, and I really appreciate you. Thank you.